Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching. MLS is back. My hair is back since you've all last heard our last MLS focused episode. It's been quite a month with Leagues Cup, Justin. Plenty of news, soccer all related. Leagues Cup is winding down now with the final set to go on here soon. No longer do we as much care about it as we were eliminated, a couple weeks ago now. But the boys got some good rest, Justin. And before I take us too deep into the agenda and our topics for today, I know we wanted to say a quick something and dedicate this episode.
Yeah, this episode is dedicated to Mike Otten, the director of security at City. Unfortunately, had a recent passing, kind of unexpected as well. So I want to give a huge shout out to him. He is a massive activist when it comes to mental health issues. And obviously that's something big, I would say, not even in today's world. It always has been. It's finally getting the attention it needs. And he's been a huge supporter of that. So a quick shout out to him and dedicated this episode to Mike Otten, the director of security at City.
Absolutely. If you want to hear Justin touch on mental health, City has a really cool YouTube video where he talks about that. If you go look up Tackle the Struggle, Mike Otten, and you'll find it there. So again, obviously our condolences to Mike and his family and everyone that knew him. Everyone, we as fans, but got to see him always. He's always at the tunnel, making sure people weren't, getting past the level of security that they had, and ultimately interacting with fans and just being a good time. So Justin, thanks for reminding us to give that shout out to him and dedicating this episode to him. In his honor, let's kick into the agenda here, Justin, for the day. We have a quick kind of injury availability update for the boys. A lot has happened the last month or so here. We got a Portland preview. We're going to keep it brief today. And then magic number outlook. You all want to know, do we stand a chance? We'll see. We'll have to get over to Justin for that one. But Justin, let's kick into the injury availability kind of side. Good news. Everyone's back in terms of people that were not on long-term injuries, right? So I'm talking Klaus, I'm talking Alm, I'm talking Nilsson. Do I think any one of those three stand a chance at starting? No. Personally, I think they're going to really ease them in, especially Nilsson, given how injury prone he's been on just re-aggravating his hamstring injuries. But Alm sounds like he's good to go, rearing and ready to go. Klaus, same thing, and they're getting some good practice reps with the full squad. So we're coming in healthy. Obviously, still no like Celio for that type of situation. No Ostrak, but that's the squad. I'm really happy to see the boys back and the staff taking care of them and getting them ready for this, final 9-game stretch, Justin. But one thing we didn't get to cover was a departure, like kind of a last minute transfer window departure before the MLS shut its window. And that was Marcanic. Left back is a cursed position in this organization. And man, he came in last year, he started all these games. Everyone's like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And then he got that one red card. And I feel like ever since then, he hasn't seen a lick of playing time. And now he's gone. He's with Minnesota now.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple times. I mean, that left back position has been a revolving door. I do think that Jay Reed is going to be stepping up there. And we've talked about Jay Reed. I think he gets forward very well. I think his one-on-one defending could probably use a little bit of help there. But then we got Giannis Horns coming in as well. So I think we have plenty of guys. It's not like it's a thing where Marcanic, I think City Refs actually put out a good tweet, and it was like, he did a good job for when we needed him. I think he stepped up, but he only really held that position for probably 5 or 6 games when we were struggling. So I do appreciate that. It's just one that I think that now we're going to hopefully have filled and kind of locked down. I was kind of smirking when you were talking about this, Jake. Joao Klaus, when you're talking about the injuries, has not played since June 22nd. Rasmus Alm has not played since June 1st. And he's obviously been one that's been out for a very long time. And so definitely neither of them will be starting on Saturday. I'd be shocked. And then Nilsson has not played since July 17th, which this summer's flying by, but that's over a month now. We're looking at 5 or 6 weeks at that point. So injury ridden, but it's good to see that the guys have been using this time during Leagues Cup to try to get healthy.
Agreed. It's just some other, random tidbits on a related note here is, City came out and every team had to, state what model they'd be following in terms of the 3 DPs, 3 U22s, or 4 U22s and 2 DPs. We are in the 3 DP model, and our 3 DPs as of today, this could change obviously next season when you can buy players down and such, are Berkey, Klaus, and Hartel. So not probably what you all thought, and that is because Leuven was bought down using targeted allocation money. So he is no longer a DP for us. But I'd argue on that list right now, probably playing just as much as one as anyone else of those 3. Another random thing here, Justin. We were talking with a member of the Soccer Dad pod. When we mentioned Klaus, you're like, man, I haven't even uttered that name in what feels like weeks and months now. But Selmir Pedro was talked about during the press conference yesterday. He is back in St. Louis. He's no longer on loan over in Europe. And it sounds like the plan for him, we talk about left backs already being cursed for us this year. He's going to be loaned to City 2, it sounds like, for the rest of the season if they can't find cover in that position. That's a weak spot for them right now, and they can't find another loan for him. So it sounds like that will be his case. Another side positive, though, is Ostrak. Obviously, we haven't talked about him. Still hurt, but he used the time to get his green card. So no more claiming international spot or slot on Ostrak next season, which I think is a huge plus. Gives you some flexibility in the market. Obviously, we love Europeans here and SLU guys.
Yeah, and you were talking about it. I mean, City 2 is struggling at left back. That's because the first team is struggling at left back. And you know where we go to grab left backs? City 2. So I think Pedro will be down there. I do think that we're going to find a way for or a place for him either in the MLS or back out on loan. I don't think we're going to find a place for him for this team. I think we're going to find a way to move him out of this as well. So, I mean, other than that, Jake, we talked about it. Durkin and Toyer suffered some knocks in Leagues Cup, but they're also back training with the team. So I don't think there's anything that you really need to be worried about there. So in these next 9 games, before we get into the preview for Portland, we talked about it on the Soccer Dad pod. If you guys haven't listened, and we'll talk about the magic number, it's not looking good, but that doesn't mean that we just kind of turn off and don't focus on next season. I think this is a perfect time period when we talk about all the changes in our lineups, from injuries to transfers in to transfers out to new signings and things of that nature. This is a perfect time in these next 9 games to really get the gel and the flow of these guys. So then next year we're already hitting on that cycle from the first game, and we don't have to do a 5-game warm up of like, oh, what's your name? What foot do you play with? So I think this is kind of the time period for us to do that.
Agreed. And Portland's going to be a good opponent. We just played them in the Leagues Cup in a knockout match. We won a knockout match finally. And they are sitting 8th right now in the Western Conference on 36 points, primarily being driven by how strong they've been at home with a record of 7-2-3 versus the away record of 3-7-2. They're scoring a lot of goals with 49, conceding a lot of goals at 42. And a lot of this probably sounds familiar to all because we just previewed this, like we said a couple weeks ago. But we've got their number a little bit now. In MLS play, we just drew them 0-0 back in June, only allowed 2 shots on goal. We just couldn't finish on the night there. But in our match, the most recent one to memory was a 3-1 dub in here in St. Louis. And we had goals from Toyert, Hartel, and Betcher. All 3 new guys coming in, chipping in. And I think they lost to Vander really early in the game. Like I don't expect this game to go exactly the same way in terms of game flow. But man, it's going to be an interesting match because I mean Portland has it all to play for right now too. Like they are sitting on that cusp of a wild card spot, so they need to start collecting some points in this final stretch too. But it's going to come out. Who's the hungrier team?
Yeah, so Portland's currently sitting 8th in the West, just a point outside of being in that getting out of the wild card spot with 37 points. It's Houston and Seattle, so just a point behind them. Vancouver's only got 38 points. This is a huge stretch for Portland coming up. But one thing I did want to mention, Jake, is like, all right, so we drew them 0-0. We beat them 3-1. Like, oh, maybe this team's kind of in a little bit of a rut. No, the game before in Leagues Cup, they absolutely smacked Colorado 4-0, who then just went on this crazy run just now to win 4 straight against Liga MX teams. They put out a great tweet, Jake, because they just got smacked by LLC and was like at the MLS, like, do you guys have any more Liga MX teams we can play? And it was a great, fantastic tweet. But all that to say, this Portland team is very strong. And I think these guys up top that we're about to talk here for key players, it could be a high-powered offense that we're going to be facing and could see a lot of goals.
Yeah, I agree. This Portland team is definitely not one to look past. And I also think it's one that's on one of the best form runs. When you look at just kind of the entirety of maybe the last 10 or so games. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Obviously, they got eliminated by us. But before that, they'd lost 2 games in the last basically 2 months. So this team is on form, and they are led by a trio of offensive signings and just firepower that they have. I think all 3, or at least 2 of the guys I want to mention, have been recent-ish signings from them. The first one being Jonathan Cabecita Rodriguez, who is a Uruguayan designated player for them. He's 31 years old, so kind of on the end of his prime, I would say, but definitely producing like he's still there with 12 goals, 6 assists in 20 full 90s this season MLS play. And then you have a Vander as well, who's a 26-year-old central attacking midfielder, Brazilian, DP for them. We didn't get to see too much of him. Went down with an early injury in the match we just played in Leagues Cup. He was an MLS All-Star. So between those two, a lot of firepower. But I mean, honestly, I look at their whole attacking kind of front four with those two plus Felipe Mora, who's got 11 goals, 4 assists in the season, and Santiago Moreno, 6 goals, 11 assists. That attack is tasty if you are a Portland fan.
Yeah, and I will say a not so fun fact that I kind of put together here, Jake, was Rodriguez and Mora. If you look at just their goal output, that puts them in like that puts them as a total of 23 goals for the year. That's only 9 behind our total for the team for City this year. So these two guys up top, and then you add in Evander in there, who obviously has 11 goals as well. So if you put them, all three of them together, they have more goals for than our entire team on the season.
Yeah, this is a good team. I'm not looking by them. If we look at kind of how we stack up in terms of some, I'll go back to our experience. Just having played them, one thing that I wrote down during that match was something that was a constant thorn in our side was Portland was really using the big diagonal switches to displace our press, force guys to run back across the field. In the meantime, advancing as fast as they could, north and south. So look for that on Saturday night. It's going to be a late one. It's a 9:30 kickoff here in St. Louis, given we're on the West Coast in Portland. But they really did a good job causing us issues by, again, like displacing our press, forcing guys to shift over across the field, and then really trying to move quickly from there. So it's going to be a big transition game for us. If we're able to kind of key in on that from a defensive aspect, I think we'll be able to hopefully shut these guys down a little bit more. But they are a speedy, very dynamic team with all that firepower up top.
And I will say, Jake, now, who are we going to need on our team to be able to displace these guys and kind of knock them off? And we're going to bring us into the Hoffman brothers starting 11.
Oh, man. Hey, really quick, Justin, on the Hoffman brothers note, we're working with something special potentially here with them. So you all need to stay tuned. Maybe a discount code coming up for some future services for listeners of the show, if we can get that over the line. So stay tuned in. Obviously, not out of the heat yet, but your mind kind of starts to trickle into, starting to stay, warm during the coming winter months. I mean, God knows it'll be 30 degrees in 2 weeks here, and then there'll be another 80-degree right after that. So make sure that you keep Hoffman Brothers top of mind for all your home services needs, especially as we start to kind of meander into the fall and winter time. You can give them a call at 314-664-3011 or visit them online at hoffmanbros.com. Justin, how are we feeling? This is obviously this is a luxury of a roster to have right now, given everyone being available, minus the long-term guys. How are you feeling? There's some tough decisions here, I think.
There are absolutely some tough decisions. I would say I'm still yes, we're healthy when you look across the board, but not completely healthy. And that's what I really wish that we could get an actual healthy back line. So for right now, I think that's where the biggest question marks are, is like, who do you think is going to play right now? I'll say right now, when we look at this, I would like to say Henry Kessler. I don't know if he's going to be slotted directly in this game. So starting with Berkey in the back, then I'll probably go Jay Reed the left, Yarrow, Kyle Hebert, and Totland across the back four. What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna lean into the new guys. I'm gonna lean right into the new guys. I'm gonna actually, it is nothing besides I just want to see them, and I think it's fine to do that, especially against a high attacking team. But I'm gonna throw Horn in at left back. He's good to go. He's healthy. I'm not sure that he's up to 90 minutes yet. So if that's the case, I could see them rolling with Reed just for the 90 minutes fitness side of it. But I would love to see Horn make his debut. I would love to see Kessler start next to Hebert. Hebert, I think, being the go-to for sure. Yarrow is the only one that's kind of up in the air. And then Totland, obviously, on the right. That'd be my back four.
What if we just really go into it? We go Horn on the left, Kessler middle left, and then we go to JGR middle right and Totland on the back right. Could be a possibility. I think we've seen him a little bit more as a holding position. So if Durkin's Knox kind of holding on to it, I know you and I are probably both in agreement right now. It'd be Löw and Durkin in front of that back four. Maybe Jaker would right. JGR gets in there. So I would say in front of them, if not, Löw and Durkin. And then up top, I think it's Hartel, Toyhurt, Indy, and Simon Betcher up top.
That writes itself. I mean, the only thing that you have to say is, does Thor maybe play for Indy and back and forth? At this point, neither of them are necessarily crushing it, so I'm kind of okay either way. We have some firepower in the bench now. It'd be really great to throw in, 20-minute little cameo for Klaus, get his legs underneath him and wreak some havoc with some freshness, some, a big boy center forward coming in, getting up for corners, just making those center backs' lives hell. So I'm looking at the bench, and honestly, the bench is going to be one of the most exciting parts of this game for us because we finally have some legitimate options.
That's what I think. This is going to be a huge 9 games for us. When you talk about these guys for the bench, Jake, it's a very good and a positive thing to see from a City fan perspective. But if you're one of those guys on that bench, you're fighting for a starting spot. And you're not only for a starting spot, but with 9 games to go, there's some guys that we're probably going to make some more moves in the offseason. No one's place is safe. And I would say in these 9 games, you got to show Hack and Lutz and Diego why you deserve to, 1, be here, and 2, be starting and getting minutes on the first team on the field. So I think with this bench, you're going to see a lot of guys come in and try to make an immediate impact. And I think that's going to be only beneficial for us.
So predictions, Grahammers, Justin, for us. I'm riding with a 3-1 W. We are going to get our first away W of the season in this match. I'm riding with it. Again, it's a repeat score, but this time on Portland's home turf. I think we're going to come out and smack them. And the Grahammer that I have, the lines right now are City at plus 320, Portland at minus 150, the draw at plus 310, over-under is 2.5 at minus 180 on the over, and under 2.5 at plus 140. Vegas is saying goals, and I'm saying goals for City just like you. I'm going with your staple this week, Justin, with the Grahammer. City over 1.5 to score 2, basically, at plus 145. I think it's going to happen. Like, we can still lose this game, and I still really would favor us scoring 2 goals.
I'm going to say with this offense and the amount of guys that not only from who we brought in, but for the guys now that are healthy and coming back, I will be betting the over 1.5 every game. And that's when we're at home, Jake. I could see, I guess our next home game is technically against LA Galaxy. We still might be plus money to score over 1.5 there, but I'm going to be taking it every game going forward. Plus 145 is rude. I'm going to just say that we win this game 2-1, try to be a little bit more conservative because you made that comment. We are the only team in the MLS, except for Dallas, that has not won an away game. And every other team has won at least 2 away games, at least, except for San Jose. So it's kind of absurd that we're even into the back third of the season. We still haven't won one. So I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. 2-1 dub, City over 1.5 at plus 145.
Whew. Yeah. And we have 6 draws, which is some of the most. I think it's the second most that I see, at least in the Western Conference. Yeah, second most behind Salt Lake. So a lot of draws. We got to turn one of these into a W at some point here on the road, and this is the night to do it. And Justin, why is this important now? We've talked about how important it's been to collect 3 points all season and how we've just neglected in doing so. But you have such a limited runway now and so little room and margin for error at this point with only 9 games to go. Tell us a little bit about where we are, mathematically, and what's the art of the possible here at this point.
All right. So for anybody who's watching on YouTube, you can see it here, but I'll kind of explain it out for everybody listening on the pod as well. We currently have 23 points with 9 games left. So when you look at the mathematics of it, for us to be magic number round 1 home field advantage, so a top 4 spot, we would need 32 points. 3 times 9 is only 27. X that off. No chance we're getting top 4. Same thing with with the round 1 no home field. So that would be spots 5, 6, and 7. That's 28 points we would need. We can only get 27 in total. X that off. Can we get the wild card? The answer is mathematically yes. Is it likely? No. Considering right now, we would still need 23 points based on the math to get the wild card. Do you remember what I said at the beginning of this, Jake? We currently have 23 points on the season. So with 9 games to go, to get 23 points, we'd either need 8 wins and a loss. That would give us 24 points. Or 7 wins and 2 ties to get those 23 points. Just not going to happen, unfortunately. But we'll keep this going until we're mathematically eliminated, which will actually probably be a little bit later on than even if we lose this game and the next 2. But for right now, not looking great, especially when you look at who we're playing. Portland away game already, like you said, it's going to be a tough one. They are very good at home. They've won their last 5 at home, and we have yet to win a single road game. So this is going to be a tough one for us, and they're in a playoff position trying to fight to get up that leaderboard. And then the LA Galaxy, obviously, have been absolutely killing it. Just signed Marco Royce. They're first in the West. We'll be playing them back at home on the Sunday before Labor Day, which is awesome. A day game at 1:45. Absolutely going to have a Sunday fun day. We're going to be at the pitch for that one. I'm going to be at the pitch tomorrow for this one. Get to the pitch if you haven't already, or if you have, still go get a frozen Irish coffee. It's supposed to be a hot one tomorrow. And then we play New England, which you and I will be up for. So we'll kind of touch into that later on. But overall, Jake, magic number, not looking great, but still mathematically possible.
So we need 23 points from a possible 27 to right now hit the line that's currently been drawn with points per match.
And we would. I think if you that would leave us with 46 points. I think we might even, if we get 46 points, you could maybe sneak in. I mean, that's if we win. If we get 7 wins and 2 ties, we would maybe even sneak in to get out of the wild card. That'd be extremely impressive. Not saying this team can't do it. I mean, this is the most excited I've been about this team going forward right now, but it's definitely a tough uphill battle.
Low-key, if we collect the point total that we currently have on the season right now in those 9 matches, which would be enough to technically get us in right now, Donnie Garbs has got to be like, all right, this team deserves it. I mean, seriously, that to double your point count in the final 9-game stretch, which is really just a quarter of the season, you deserve it at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say if we get that, my heart and soul juice person of all of that would be Mr. Hackworth.
Yeah.
If we can if he can bring all, I mean, the talent's there with these guys, but if you can manage that in the last 9 games, heart and soul juice would be Mr. Hackworth. Go to souljuice.com, SEOULJUICE.com. Use code BALLWATCHING for 20% off. Schnucks, Deerbergs, Mobile on the Run, Straubs, anywhere. Go get some soul juice. It's still hot outside. This is my favorite thing to drink post-workout. Go get your soul juice today.
Final plug, Justin, before we wrap the show is, if you haven't heard it already, you got to go tune into our Jorginho interview. We had the pleasure of talking to a Premier League player who is on the roster at Arsenal right now. He's played for Chelsea. He's played for Napoli and Serie A, and he has a Champions League, a European Championship. The guy is oozing with class, and he is a phenomenal human being, and it just takes about 20 minutes. So make sure you listen to the interview. It was really, really fun. And we have another one coming up here, Justin. We're recording one this coming week with a St. Louis City player to be named for you all, probably here pretty soon, but we will release that as soon as we can edit it, turn that around. We're doing it, with some Big J journalism style here, just like we did Jorginho. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say on that one, it might take a little bit longer to turn around because we are hiring a crew to help us with this because God knows that you and I have had our own Wi-Fi and mic issues, and we're not leaving it up to chance this time. Last plug I'm going to say as well, the Bronze Boot game is coming up. It's the game after we get back from New England. So what would that be? That would be the 8th, Sunday, September 8th. We're going to put a code out there. You can get tickets for just $14 and go watch SLU versus SIUE. I believe the women's game's at 3:00. The men is at 6. And that $14 gets you in for both of those for the entirety of the game at City Park. It's going to be a great Sunday night. So be on the lookout for that.
God, SLU is just doing some amazing things right now. Women's tying BYU last night, obviously a top 5 team in the country. Betcher's there supporting the girls. Like, it was awesome. Love to see it. We saw Mr. Soccer there, Bill McDermott calling the game. We saw Jen Seiss as well. I mean, SLU is just riding this wave, and I just love to see it for them.
And Jake, if we're putting this out quick enough, SLU plays tonight. It's August 23rd at Herman Stadium, right next to SLU's campus, obviously, against Indiana. 2 of the most storied programs in the nation combined or individually have number 1 and number 2 in national titles in soccer. So 2 of the best programs of all time. They're kicking off their season tonight. If you have nothing to do, get to Herman Stadium. And if you're a kid and you're wearing your soccer jersey, you get in for free.
Ooh. So roll Bills and all for City is what I'm hearing today. I'm excited to be back, man. MLS is back. Big run in for us. Let's see what the boys can do. But we will catch y'all on Sunday for a recap of the Portland match. Hoping for some big puntos to get us on track to 23. That's the countdown for us. Thanks all for listening, and we'll see you on Sunday.
All for City.